Hello, historians. Welcome back to Herodotus Learning. Today I have something really cool for you. Recently, I went down to Alabama to go check out Fort Morgan. This is a fort that was originally known as Fort Boyer that was constructed by the U.S. Army in 1813 to guard against the British during the War of 1812. Construction on Fort Morgan began in 1819, and the fort was mainly built by American engineers, but mostly through the use of African American slaves due to it being down in Alabama during one of the high points of American slavery. Now, the fort was given its name by American Revolutionary War hero General Daniel Morgan. Daniel Morgan was one of those famous figures that a lot of people don't really talk about throughout history. The first time they saw action at this fort was on September 15th, 1814. During that battle, the Americans, even though they outnumbered the British, they surrendered because of the British far superior technology and just training in general. Now, by the end of the war, the British treaty with the Americans gave Fort Boyer back to the Americans. During the secession of the Confederacy, Confederate troops took over the fort in 1861 and turned it into a Confederate fort. And for the longest time throughout the Civil War, this remained in the hands of the Confederacy up until the morning of August 5th, 1864, when the Union showed up to Fort Morgan. The Battle of Mobile Bay was pretty much the last time the fort would ever see any real action, any real battles. Now, after the Civil War, Fort Morgan was reinforced with new brick and concrete to give it some strong fortifications there. And during the early 1900s, Fort Morgan became the largest permanent military base down in Alabama. Now, during the time of World War I, Fort Morgan was mainly used as a place for training when it came to artillery, since artillery became such a huge impact and a necessity for the war. Throughout the 30s, it was very quiet, though, on the fort. Not much was going on, and the number of troops from World War I, its 2000, dwindled down to the low hundreds. Now, during the time of World War II, however, in 1941, business was back. Soldiers were back in, and most likely there was a lot of training going on there, mainly with the Coast Guard, just a patrol, look out for any Nazi submarines. In July of 1944, Fort Morgan was abandoned for the last time, and its role to defending the coast in Mobile Bay finally came to an end. Today, you can still visit the fort. You can still show up and walk around. They give special tours from time to time. I was unable to get the chance to be on a special tour. However, I was enjoying every moment walking around, seeing the whole fort's construction, and admiring its architecture. If you look at all the brickwork here, it is stunning, and it's tested time, even though it's in Mobile Bay, which is prone to hurricanes. If you look throughout the fort, you'll see a nice railroad leading straight into the fort. That was mainly to deliver supplies. Looks like it was mainly meant for a smaller train. And if you get towards the top over here, you'll see a turntable. Now, as you walk around the fort, you'll notice some newer parts and newer additions. You can tell which is the original part of the fort and where's the newer parts. These newer parts are obviously more towards the coast. There was a big worry back then, should there ever be a naval attack or any kind of naval attack, so they refortified the coastal area. You'll notice a lot of different rooms. Something I kind of wish that they did was put signs up to let you know, hey, this was this room, this was that room. Most of the time, you have to just draw your own conclusions. So, for example, this room could have obviously been some kind of storage room or anything around like that, maybe a barrack. However, it's hard to determine because there's lack of information there. You have to ask some of the people that work around there to give you that information that's kind of missing. Now, there are some parts that are labeled, and this area here, you'll notice there's some barracks and bunks in there. There are some outside barracks too, and that's outside the fort, more like maybe a mile and a half away. Not too far, not too bad. When you reach the top of the fort, you'll notice there's a lot of greenery. That's one thing I was kind of curious was why would there be a lot of greenery? But then I looked deeper into that and talked to some of the people on site, and they explained that that was mainly put there so that way in case there was any airplanes or anyone flying by or people patrolling, the greenery would disguise it from it being just a regular fort. It would keep it hidden. It's more of a camouflage. And I thought it was kind of neat. It's a very interesting touch that they put into it. As I'm at the top of the fort here, you can see where artillery cannons would have been in the past. And on top of that, you can also get a beautiful view of the coast. Now it is a little bit foggy and a little misty, I should say. A big storm's coming in right now, so I'm unable to get the full coast. Now there are some parts of the fort that did fall apart. As you can see here, there is a danger area here that should be avoided. On top of that, there are some places here at the fort, as you can see here in my footage, of random things just placed all over these rooms. I wish they kind of would put things together or at least put some labels here and there to let us know what's kind of going on there. Outside the fort, you'll see this big behemoth. This cannon here is beautiful, and I'll do a full walk around for you all to check it out. Around the fort, you'll see some of the cannons that may have been inside the fort. You'll see this nice siege cannon that you may have seen throughout other forts or in other museums. I think it's very nice. It's very small and compact. Now the fort does have a separate museum that you can actually visit. Now inside this museum, you'll find a bunch of collections from the fort, such as old firearms and documents. Now there is a light in here that belongs to a former lighthouse. However, the lighthouse is no longer in use. Now, if walking around the museum here, you'll notice a lot of beautiful firearms here. Most of these firearms are from the time periods of which they would have been used. So for example here, if you look at this beautiful Craig Jorgensen rifle, very underrated rifles by the way, you can see it was used during the Spanish-American War. They have a lot of items here from every single war, such as the Civil War, World War I, and World War II, where you'll see this beautiful M1. We also have here an impressive display of propaganda posters. Overall, I enjoyed my time here at the fort. There's so much to see, so much to learn, and I hope all of you get the chance to go visit it one day. I'm gonna leave some footage here so that way you guys can check out some of the other things that I didn't get to talk about here. So if you don't get the chance, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It really helps us grow here. Now with that said, I hope to see you guys next time and keep on learning.